Welcome to the STR Data Lab.
Hello, and welcome to another edition of the STR Data Lab. My name is Jamie Lane, Chief Economist at AirDNA here, and I'm joined today by my good friend and colleague, Aaron Koppinger. Aaron, thanks for
Jamie.
joining.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me. Excited to be here.
So we're going to do the episode a little bit different this week in that I'm actually interviewing one of my colleagues here at AirDNA, and it's because we have exciting news. Aaron, what is this exciting news that we're talking about? And then if you could also introduce yourself and tell people what you actually do here at AirDNA.
Yeah, well, I'll start with my intro. I'm Aaron Koppinger. I am the Director of Product here at AirDNA, and our exciting news feels almost like the birth of a third child for me. It's our new product launch. So we reimagined our Market Minder application into a new amazing online tool.
So, what does this mean? And, and why did we feel like we needed to update our tool set?
Yeah, four reasons primarily. People have this expectation in the industry of using applications like Airbnb, like Verbo, like Zillow to check your comps or properties that are for sale. And we needed to update our UX. It wasn't as updated as it should be. We wanted to create the same type of experience that our users get from those applications that I just talked about in AirDNA. So that's one of the reasons. Another one is a lot of our customers had to do research about the market that they wanted to purchase before they even came to AirDNA. So, we have this wealth of data, and we would expect people to know exactly where they wanted to invest or, potentially invest before they even purchased at AirDNA. And speaking of purchasing, our subscription model was one of our biggest complaints that we got before. It was fairly cost prohibitive. You would get one market, you get access to one market. You wouldn't know if that's the right market for you. Maybe you think that you might want to invest in your neighborhood in the suburbs, but that's not the best place to invest in short-term rentals. You wouldn't know that unless you purchase a subscription first. So we've changed our subscription model. And then the last thing that we did is we previously used our market grade to give people kind of insights into our data science models that we put together that gives them like an easy, intuitive way to compare markets to each other. Now, the grade works great for people in the United States, where you know that if you're doing great, you get an A. If you're not doing so good, you get a C or a D. I mean, depending on how well you did in school. But now we're taking that and making it a 0 to 100 score. And we're going to apply that to all markets across the globe. So it's easy for anyone to understand 100 in Barcelona, Spain is potentially the same type of 100 that you would get in Denver, Colorado.
So with our changing of the subscription model of essentially giving people access to all markets and not assuming that people know the market that they want to invest in is maybe piggybacking on the sort of change that we actually see happening in the industry of moving away from just a bunch of sort of core cities, a handful of vacation rental markets that people were investing in, and really spreading out, bringing short-term rentals into many more markets across the country, many more small cities, many more mid-sized cities, areas that didn't typically have short-term rental investment in the past, but are now some of the most popular markets to invest in and giving people the ability and access to be able to find and invest in those markets.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you said it, mid-sized cities and rural areas have seen the biggest growth in short-term rentals in recent history. I mean, I stole that information from you. I'm sure that's good for you to know that I'm parroting some of your amazing insights. But now, if you don't know which one of those rural areas is the best place to invest, all of our subscription models give you global access. You can say, I want to look in rural areas. I can set my market type using our filters, and we'll give you suggestions on the best rural markets to invest in. Maybe you know that you want to invest in a 3-bedroom, 2-bath property in a rural area or a cabin or, whatever your criteria may be. Apply those filters, look at this kind of high level investment criteria that you might have, and we'll give you the ability to see all the markets and decide which one of those best fits your investment criteria.
So it does seem like a big focus, at least from our marketing team, has been that you can explore all markets for free, really, around the world, and then subscribe to digging deeper. Can you sort of talk about why that decision was made and what do you expect our customers to do with that data?
Yeah, I mean, use cases like one that I just talked about, where we give you the ability to maybe you don't know where you want to invest. Maybe you have you got some money from a family member and you think the short-term rentals are where you want to look at, and you're not sure where that you should go, but you do have an idea of the type of property that you want to look at. Having this access to global markets allows you to kind of expand that horizon and view broader areas. You can start with like really big, large land masses, like markets, and then start asking questions of the data as you dig into it. So you're going to say, maybe I want to invest in Tahoe, but do I want to invest in South Tahoe where there's casinos and there's a ski resort, or am I more interested in North Tahoe because I like hiking and I'm less interested in being around people that often. So we allow you to kind of decide which one of those markets is right for you without having to make buy one of those markets in a subscription and look at it only in that area.
Yeah. And a big part of this change maybe also is taking from individual markets for a single month to the entire world for an annual subscription. Can you talk about and a little bit more around that change and how it's trying to be a more maybe holistic tool than just one that you use for that specific purpose?
Yeah, as part of this move to global access and annual subscriptions is that there's a lot of information and insights that we have at AirDNA that are not just kind of transient information. You don't need to just come and grab it, take it, and then leave and never come back. It's useful information that you can get and rely on over and over again. So if you want to like keep up with the changes and trends in potentially, if you identify a market, you can see how that market's changing through, shoulder seasons and off seasons. You can use it for competitive analysis. One of my favorite pages is our STR listings page, where you can see not just the top listings in a market, but you can see all of the listings in that market. So you can look at those and kind of see how your competitors are doing, see how they're pricing in the future, see how that compares to yours, and then you can use that to optimize that price that you're talking about. If you want to see that some of your top competitors are maybe priced a little bit lower than you and you have a gap in your bookings, maybe you need to go lower than them and you need to readjust your rate because you want to get somebody to stay there at that point in time.
And from what I hear, that what your team's working on is there is more work being put into the price optimization or smart rate tools. And do you see that as being a deeper focus and something that's included with each of the subscription levels?
Yeah. That's been one of the things that we haven't focused on as much as we should, is that full journey of a user, of somebody who wants to invest in short-term rentals. We've been really good about giving you information about a particular market and your competitors, but that next step of showing you our smart rates, which is looking at your competitors and making pricing suggestions, giving you the ability to maybe even push those rates to one of your channels, but make some adjustments manually and have those changes pushed to your channel. That's things that we're working on now. As of this podcast recording, it's going to be out in October of 2023 is our plan to have these more enhanced host tools. So what we launch now is just the beginning. We've got a lot more things that we're working on coming soon.
And maybe you can just give an overview real quick, because it was honestly a bit confusing for me when I I first started seeing the plans for the new app, was that we do have different subscription tiers, where before it was essentially everyone got access to the same data, same price, and you sort of piece together the markets or the states or the countries that you want. Now we're sort of rolling out, was it 4 different tiers? Can you talk a little bit about the different tiers, and one, what went into that decision, and two, how would you describe the different tiers to someone sort of looking at subscribing to AirDNA for the first time?
Yeah. So the reason that we changed it to four different tiers, they're basically all tiers are going to give you global access.
Mhm.
The biggest difference is that you're going to get more depth of analysis as you move up in these price tiers, and that depth of analysis kind of correlates to where people are at in their short-term investment journey. If you're just getting started and you're not exactly sure which market you want, maybe come and explore and look around in our free plan, and you still have access to all markets across the globe. Now, you're not going to get some of the filters, a lot of the depth of analysis that you need to actually really do a good, solid underwriting, but you can make an intelligent decision on which market for free. When you do now, after you've done that, maybe you're ready to move on to the next step. And we have a basic plan, which gives you a little bit more information. It allows you to connect a property. You still have all the great access to Rentalizer at all of these tiers. You can do some more triaging and say, I've got 4 or 5 different markets or sub-markets that I'm interested in, and I want to have the ability to maybe do a little bit more underwriting to see which one of those is the right place for me. So I'll do that at the basic tier, and that one's $15 a month. Our next up tiers is called Pro. It's for all of the pros out there, or anyone who wants to be a pro. And at the pro level, you get even more depth of analysis. So you're going to get the full ability to look at all of the STR listings. You're going to get 3 years of historical data. You get pacing data. You get to do all of this information, so you can really start building that good, solid underwriting. If you're gonna make an investment, you want to make sure that you're making a smart and intelligent investment. You'll be able to do that with AirDNA. And then our advanced tier is meant for people who are, maybe going from 10 to 15 listings. Maybe they're going from 3 to 4, and they want to just have all of the information and feel like there's nothing that they're missing. And at that tier, you have access to a new page that we've created for each individual STR listing. You can go in and look at their calendar, see how their nights are, what the rates are for the nights that they're booked, what amenities they have, what the competitors are for that property around it. So you can really get a good, deep analysis of potential investments or places that you want to invest. And then the last thing that's going to be included in all of those in October is we're going to include another coming soon item that I teased the one for our hosts, but this one is for our investors, and we're going to have for sale properties. So we're going to offer MLS listings in the United States, and everybody will have access to those. You'll be able to see all the listings, all the properties that are for sale in your given market or anywhere in the country, and you can take that from the beginning of your journey to actually finding your property inside AirDNA.
So maybe talk about that little bit more, sort of the investment journey. And I know you've done a ton of user interviews talking with our clients of understanding what they use AirDNA for, what they want to use AirDNA for, and essentially wanting to move our clients through the entire investment lifecycle. How do you think about how this tool is going to evolve into being sort of a one-stop shop for our investor and host clients?
So the biggest one of the other things that we realized we had a gap in was that portion that I talked to you about at the beginning, where you had to know your market before you could really utilize all of the information that we have here at AirDNA. So what we're doing now is we're giving you the ability to compare markets. And when I define markets, I'm talking about like the biggest investable area of land that you can think of. I use Tahoe as my example, but that's all of Tahoe. You're covering the Nevada side of Tahoe, the California side of Tahoe, north, south Tahoe, that whole big area. Not all of Tahoe is the same, depending on what you want to do. I mean, there's different things there, and there's different types of investments that you can make in that area. So that's your market. You decide that maybe Tahoe is where you want to invest. The next step in that journey that we want to talk about is let's look at submarkets. You can look at submarkets that are smaller investable areas within Tahoe. So inside AirDNA, you can look at those smaller areas. You can see them based on their market score, how they compare to each other. You can visually look at them on the map and say, here's the concentration of all of the current short-term rental listings on the market. They're all kind of, maybe they're going to be along the water, but maybe they're mostly concentrated in south. Then you can look at our overview page, and we have the overview page is available for markets and submarkets. And basically what that is that's in the old AirDNA world. The way that I correlate that to that is that was the research section, the seasonality section, the pacing section. All of the information that we contained within those 3 tabs of MarketMinder are all within this overview section. And we made it as easy and intuitive to use as possible. So you get high level last 12 months numbers at the top. As you scroll down, we're going to offer you questions to answer your questions. Basically, our charts. You don't need to know what booking demand means anymore. You don't need to have a definition of that, because we'll give you a question that says, how is demand looking in the future? And then we'll use the charted information to answer that question. It's a really useful, intuitive way to scroll through and get all of the information about these markets. So you look at Tahoe, you've found that that's the market. You use the overview page there. You do the same thing in a submarket. If it's South Tahoe, that's the one that you're interested in. You can do the same type of information, see what your benchmarks are, your highs and lows, and then go to the STR listings page, which is the next step in that progression. So you're going from like at the biggest investable land areas to looking at individual properties within that market and seeing how they're performing. So you can find one that's the top of the market based on what you're looking to purchase, one that's at the bottom, and you can kind of create that percentile of your expectations of what you can start underwriting. And then in October, you can go over to the for sale listings and find a property that fits that criteria for yourself and make a purchase.
And so I want to get this on the record. So starting in October, I'm going to be able to see all the for sale properties out there within the MLS. And you're going to show me not only the properties that are for sale, what they could earn as a short-term rental, and calculate the and gross yield for me.
That's right. Yeah. So all of these for sale properties, we're going to use our same great rentalizer tool that everyone's very familiar with in the past. We still have
Mhm.
rentalizer. We're going to apply those rentalizer estimates to all of these for sale listings. So you'll be able to see side by side how we expect property A to perform to property B when you're looking to make an investment. And then if you buy one of those, onboard it and use those great host tools that we just talked about.
And so we're recording this in mid-September. That's going to be live within the next month.
That's right, Jamie. I know
Okay.
I'm putting pressure on myself and my team, but I have full faith in all of our amazing engineers here at AirDNA that they can deliver for us.
So, and I could see that quickly becoming my new favorite tool. And speaking of favorite tools, I know you've been and your team's been working on this for months and months, and you're probably tired of looking at it at this point. But what is your new favorite feature? What are the things you're going back to time after time and looking at?
I have two. The two things that I enjoy the most is I like this might be because we're a data company and that means that you have to wear your data nerd badge loud and proud in front of you. But the thing that I really enjoy is the market overview page. So I like comparing that process that I told you about going from market to sub-market and really seeing the variances and like where are the best areas in a market to invest in. And then looking at the overview page, which has all the same data that we provided before, but the usability of it is just it's so much better. It's so much easier to understand. The questions answer the data for you. And I can get to the insights that I want faster on that page the way that it's set up now. So that's like the data nerd in me that loves that part. Now, if I just want to go in and kind of just look around and for fun and see maybe something abnormal, I'll go to the STR listings page. I'll put in a market type. So one of the ones that I like to do is I'll go to market type and I'll pick rural, and then I have a family of four, so I'm interested in something that can fit four people. So I'm thinking like 3 to 4 bedrooms, 2 to 3 bathrooms, and I'll look at those properties, and then I'll even get a little bit more granular, and maybe I'll look at like unique ones because I fancy myself a handyman, and maybe I want to build my own property somewhere on some land somewhere. So I look at those, and I start dreaming about these like amazing properties with beautiful views and open barn doors that open all the way, and I look at what they can earn and how neat they are, and I start envisioning myself building my own little STR empire that way.
So it almost becomes a discovery tool for you of like, and what are the different, and adding the filters that we've sort of know and love within the app, adding that to the listing page for top properties. So you can think through and what is a potential business model of like, I want to go into rural 3-bedroom unique properties or luxury coastal properties in the Northeast or something like that,
Mhm.
and get a sense of what are these types of properties earning, what are the highest occupancies at the different levels. It really lets you dig deeper into into our data and finding what's working for other people.
That's right. Yeah, I mean, and it allows you to like use that data to tell the story that you want it to tell. So if you like, I gave you that story that's important to me, but I can use the data to tell that story, and your story might be a little different, but you couldn't really do that before. You'd have to know your story and define it beforehand, and now you can just explore. And maybe you said it is the Pacific Northwest that you want to invest in, or maybe it's somewhere in the mountains of Montana that fit my criteria. I don't know, but it allows me to figure that out.
And it maybe talks a little bit about, I'm not sure if you listened to that episode that we did here when we released the best markets to invest in. This is why I love doing the analysis. It's one of my least favorite reports that we put out because it's so generic. It's and if you take the average of every market and see what's and best in terms of investability, you get an average investment thesis, right? And now what you're telling me is that I can essentially go in and look at 1-bedroom luxury properties in coastal destinations and see the best markets to invest in based on those different theses that I could come up with, and not only see a ranking of those markets, but then dive in on the map and essentially see a heat map both on the market and sub-market level of where's the best places to invest based on whatever investment thesis I could come up with?
That's exactly right. Yeah, and if you have multiple investment theses, is
Mhm.
that the right word? To don't judge me on my. I'm not a linguist. You can save those potentially. If one of those is the investment strategy that I talked about, and you also are interested in the one that you talked about. In October, we're going to give you the ability to save those filters, and
Mhm.
then you can go back to those and you can reference those over and over again and see how the potential of investing in one of those areas is changing over time. You can see how
Mhm.
they look now versus in 6 months when potentially there's more regulations in X area that are causing it to not be as good a place to invest.
So you sort of hinted now to, and one of the things that's coming up and save filters. This has been the most significant release of features we've done in years. I was joking with someone yesterday that I'd gotten into the habit of doing like new feature Friday where and for every Friday I was like talking about the new features we were putting out in MarketMinder. And it feels like it's been a good, what, how long have you guys been working on this? Like 6 months since and we've been able to do that.
Hmm.
I get a sense from you that the new features are going to be coming out relatively quickly over the next couple months. Can you talk about some of the things you're excited about and where we're investing further into?
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, you make a good point. This has been, it feels like we could talk about a new feature every Friday for the last 6 months, and it's probably true. Um, and that's not going to stop. This is the inception of the new AirDNA, right?
Okay.
This is our baseline, and we're going to have a lot of, you don't stop just because you've accomplished this. You start adding more and more things that people find useful. So I've talked about a few of those, the for sale listings, which is going to be that's going to be a really big thing for investors and for us. We want to be like this place where you can come and do this whole journey start to finish within AirDNA. And so having for sale listings within the United States is going to be a big part of that. The host, we talked a little bit about our host side, which we're building out. So on the host side, we're going to give you, listing management. We're going to give you price overrides. There's going to be channel management. So all of the things that you come to expect from other vendors in the industry, you're going to be able to get from AirDNA in short order.
So you're talking about a full service dynamic pricing tool that and can compete with the best of them out there. You guys are building that?
We are, yes. Um,
That's awesome. And
Yeah,
then
that the goal of that one is, we wanna have that one built and ready to go by the end of the calendar year. We'll have channel management, and you'll be able to take our dynamic pricing and push that to Airbnb, by the same time that you'll see, short-term or, for sale listings in AirDNA. The rest of that's kind of a little bit more midterm roadmap item there.
And then talk a little bit further about some of the things coming on the advanced tier, because I know a good portion of our existing subscriber base got, grandfathered into the advanced tier, which I think is pretty amazing that someone that was paying us $50 a month is now grandfathered into this advanced tier, which we're sort of gearing towards the much more advanced user and companies that are going out and investing large property managers, ones that really want to dig in, access the raw data. So, what's coming in that advanced tier?
Yeah, the only caveat that I will say is that our current customers, our loyal current customers, anyone who's paying more than $25 a month, you're paying $26, $27, you get put into this advanced tier. When you come into the application and you click on the subscribe button, you'll be able to see that that's a great deal. That's my only sales pitch today. Thank you, loyal customers. I appreciate you. But when you come in, the advanced tier is going to have the ability to take these comparisons that we do at a market level, at a sub-market level, and it'll give you a list view of that. So think the ability to compare a lot of metrics side by side in a very similar BI type tool, Excel format, where you can look at not just the big three metrics, but you can have a significantly more broader and deeper depth of analysis that you can look at. Something that's very similar to what we offer in our PPD dashboard that we offer. That's an offline tool. There's also the ability to aggregate markets. So if you know that you want to look at 3 or 4 different markets and you want to see how they are performing in aggregate, we're going to offer the ability to view that as well and kind of compare those side by side that way. This is just the beginning of that, though. That powerful, advanced tools are. We have a much longer, robust roadmap that I'm not willing to tease here just yet, but there will be more coming in late 2023 and early 2024.
Oh, that's all very exciting, Aaron. I can tell you one of my favorite charts, and it's something that I now using all the time. Like, candidly, I wasn't a regular user of MarketMinder because I had sort of built out my own internal tools to sort of analyze the data. And now seeing a lot of the tools that I'd sort of built out to use myself and doing research on markets, on the industry, sort of bleeding into the new AirDNA, like to be able to take and go in and look at occupancy and sort of see it sort of laid out, stacked each year, so I can see very quickly, like, and we just got through August, like how August compared, and then see it lined up with August of 2021 and 2022 when we were sort of at record levels, see where it was at in 2019, how low it got in 2020, like, and not have to sort of scroll over each number and get a sense like in our time series view that we had before, but lay it out in a way that makes it easy to understand. And I love that we've started bringing in these new visualizations into the tool. And I know, and there's more visualizations coming. And the fact that there's now the questions that people are asking, and we're actually showing what those questions are of like, what can you look at to understand within AirDNA, and click on that question and see the chart that sort of answers that. I feel like we're sort of putting it in the hands of users as opposed to just expecting users to know what to do and where to click and find it.
Yeah, I mean, that's the analogy that I always use, Jamie, when I think about going from the old world to the new world is before we were kind of like a library. Like you'd go into the library and you'd have to know what section of the library you wanted to go to get what you needed, or you'd have to have like go find your friendly librarian who would help you and lead you to the right section. If you didn't have one of those librarians or you weren't sure how to use the library, it was not as easy to find that graphic novel or encyclopedia or whatever kind of book you were looking for. Now you come into AirDNA and we're giving you the questions. We're showing you the market side by side. This is like the first step in us becoming that trusted advisor that people are wanting and hoping for when it comes to making a short-term rental investment.
So maybe taking that analogy a bit further, if a user's coming in and maybe wants to talk to the librarian, how can they find out more on how to use AirDNA, the new AirDNA, how to sort of leverage the new tools?
Yeah. We have webinars that we set up that are bi-weekly. I will be on those. I'll be giving demos. If you want to reach out to me directly, I'm on LinkedIn. You can email me at aaron.koppinger@airdna.co. If I'm not busy building out some new amazing features, either me or somebody on the product team would be more than happy to talk to everyone.
And building on that further, if people have feedback, if they have suggestions, if they have features that they want to see added, should they be reaching out to you too?
I would love that. Yeah, I mean, it's my job as director of product here at AirDNA to take that initial analysis that I did that helped us build this new tool and expand it and grow it. So if users have feedback, things that you want, things that you like, things that you don't like, if you just need somebody to vent to about your short-term rental investment, that's what we're here for.
Well, on that note, Aaron, thank you so much. Listeners, thank you again for maybe a pause in our normal and deep dives into the industry performance, into the interviews we do with the sort of experts in the industry. And Aaron, I'm so excited about all the new features yet to come. I'm already in the tool now every day using it. It's really exciting to be able to have the data at my fingertips, to be able to see every market sort of lined up against each other and analyzing to my heart's content. You guys are doing a great job. Really appreciate all the work that you and your team have done to make this a reality.
Yeah, Jimmy, thanks for the time. All right, looking forward to seeing everyone in the app. Talk to you soon.